What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Gru here at Grew Up Large. Getting ready to make a few videos this week to have a little bit more content than the original test video that I made. So, as many of you may know, and some of you may not know, I'm a lifelong Cowboys fan. Long-term Ohio State Buckeye fan. Maybe not going to really cover the Buckeyes this week, but I'm definitely going to touch on the Cowboys and Eagles. So with that being said, my first instinct is just to be 100% transparent. I kind of felt some sort of way about coming into the game against the Eagles, especially at Philly. I was a little suspect of how we would stack up against them, but we really played a lot closer than I suspected. And thankfully, Dak wasn't the reason why we lost, even though you could say that a couple of those sacks he took at the end of the game, the 1 4th and 8 when he went to Tolbert, that really didn't seem like a good decision. I mean, I don't know where Cooks is, and it seemed like he's coming to work with ski mask on because he's not giving nothing for $12 million a year. I don't like pocket watching people and speaking about their money, but he's a highly paid wide receiver that doesn't really seem like they're really getting any bang for that buck. But, the overall takeaway from the game was, I don't really deal in moral victories. Either you get it done or you don't. And we didn't. And there's no excuses, and I'm not even going to offer any. But the one thing I will, a caveat, if you will, I will say is, we had a good showing. We showed that we're close, but we've got some straightening that needs to happen. On the star, it almost doesn't count. I mean, that's what Brandy said, and that's real, and we got a little bit more work to do. I don't understand what's going on with Tony Pollard. Seems like maybe he's, gun shy with his injury, or he lost a little bit of juice, but they really should have went out and got a power back. Because those little pass plays they did at the end of the game, especially when Schoonmaker didn't get in the end zone, if we had more of a power back available to us, that should have been a handoff. Or why didn't we use Philly's brotherly shove or whatever? I mean, there was more than one way to get that ball in that end zone, and it just seemed like a pass play, even though it was close. Dak threw that ball, he caught it, and it was just kind of like a bang-bang play, and it didn't go our way. So with that being said, we got a kind of I'm not going to say an easy schedule, but the schedule is going to lighten up for the next few days, and we just got to stand on business and do what we got to do these next few games to kind of solidify our playoff position. I feel confident about we will be in the playoffs. It's just about the two measuring sticks that we met up against with the 49ers and the Eagles. We just didn't fare very well. But, I'm a lifelong Cowboys fan. I've been there. I've done that. So enough about that. Then we're going to move over to the Bengals and the Bills. The reason why I wanted to recap the Bengals and the Bills, because it seems like with two teams that pretty much have identical records, it seems like they're both moving in different directions. The Bengals were dealing with Joe Burrow being hobbled early in the season, and you could see that he really wasn't playing up to the normal level that you expect from Joe Burrow. And then Josh Allen, on the other hand, seems to be a little more inclined to, like, I don't know how to really phrase it. Maybe like hero ball, to where they don't commit to the run at all. And it seems like this has been year after year after year after year, to where the Bills are like a more risky, throw it, bomb it out, air it out, or have your quarterback running around, because he's big and he can take punishment, but that's not necessarily the look that you want for your franchise quarterback, to be subjecting himself to these hits and just gunslinging and running. There's no middle for the Bills. To where the Bengals, on the other hand, with Joe Burrow, he seems to be more under control, and he seems like he processes things a little bit better than Josh Allen. I'm going to come out later on this week with a quarterback ranking, wide receiver, and running back ranking, maybe the top 10, and just to get some comments and some feedback from everybody, just to see, where you stand at with the league's quarterbacks and receivers and running backs. And also, yes, I wanted to touch Kansas City and Miami. Miami, that 70-point game that they had this year is like really something that's going to continue to stick out in everybody's brains for the remainder of the season, because that's just not something you see a team put up a 70 ball on somebody, but it's given a false sense of what they really are. They played 3 teams that were over 500, that are over 500 currently, and they lost to all 3 of them. And they also have played the other, I think, 5 games that they've won against teams that are currently below 500, and those are the games that they've won. So the Dolphins are kind of giving me a little bit of not really what they seem to be on the surface. Yeah, they got speed everywhere, and they've got a lot of motion, and kind of, Mike McDaniel is considered like a very bright offensive mind, and I agree with it, but there has to be some substance with the flash, to where when you have a team that's just based on misdirection and flash and dash and this and that, that's not playoff football. Because the Chiefs really have way less talent than the Dolphins do, just man for man. But Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid seem to be able to steady the ship, and the defense really has stepped up. Chiefs really, through this little run they've had when they've won these couple Super Bowls over the last few years, it's mostly been hanging their hats on the offense and Pat Mahomes in the offensive side of the ball. So they've been able to kind of change their approach to the game, because they don't have a Tyreek Hill, and they don't really have a number 1 receiver at all. Pacheco is a decent running back, but he's kind of like a poor man's Marshawn Lynch, to where, he kind of runs to contact, and he's not really a guy that you can get out on a perimeter, and he doesn't do a whole lot in the passing game. Edwards-Helaire, he's pretty much a bust. There's nothing there. So, and then Travis Kelce, I think he's maybe starting to lose a step. Now, I don't know if, all his newfound fame and, the whole Taylor Swift thing or whatever has maybe gotten him a little bit off his 10 toes. But I'm just saying, Travis Kelce, this past week, he got held to 3 catches for 18 yards. I mean, that's very un-Kelce-like. Maybe the Dolphins came into the game and just said that we're not going to let him beat us. And maybe it was just that they schemed for him very well. but I just didn't see it from him. So I still have faith, a lot more faith in the Chiefs, because it just seems like whatever it requires for them to win, they have that intangible to be able to make it happen. So, that's pretty much my recap of this weekend's NFL action. I did maybe want to touch on a little bit of fantasy, because that is something that I do, and I am going to continue to create content with regards to fantasy football. First thing I want to say is shout out to CJ Stroud. I mean, 470 yards and 5 TDs for a rookie playing in his 8th game. I mean, what more needs to be said? He's looking like the real deal. He's looking like Carolina might have fumbled that pick by going with Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. I do understand that Bryce Young has his struggles as far as the roster, that he's been with, but I don't really see Houston having really a star-studded roster either. They've got a good, solid, defensive-minded head coach in DeMeco Ryans. Former player, played at Houston, came from up underneath the San Francisco 49ers coaching tree. And, he seems like he's got that team headed in the right direction. But if you look at what C.J. Stroud is working with, they don't have a strong running game. Nico Collins seems to be a potential star in the making, but he's on the fringes. The rookie Tank Dell seems like he has a rapport with C.J. Stroud. Dalton Schultz, who the Dallas Cowboys let go, he's over there with them, and they have something, and they have maybe a little bit more than Bryce Young does. So I'm not going to just put it all on Bryce Young's feet, but C.J. Stroud looks like the truth. The dude Josh Dobbs for the Vikings, the way he's been shifted around through all these teams, he just showed up, didn't know the players' names. They're on the sideline practicing snapping the ball to him because the center doesn't know his cadence, or they're not comfortable with his hands being up under center. And for him to come out and make and get a win after being on the team for like 3 days, you got to give him a shout out. I'm going to shout out my guy CeeDee Lamb for the game that he had. 11 catches, 191 yards. Not a winning effort though, so I'm still going to give him his props. But that's just a little bit of in the future of what I will do with respect to fantasy football, as far as touching on the fantasy, winners and losers from each week. Now, another topic that I want to touch on is this. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with what's going on over the internet with this Atlanta food critic that, he's getting a lot of backlash because of a review that he gave a restaurant in Atlanta that apparently is owned and operated by Kandi Burruss, who, those of you that know who's from Escape and from the show Atlanta Housewives. And, I don't get it in a lot of ways. I have a problem with it because when I'm listening to both sides of the argument, it kind of hit home with me in a sense of, when did it become wrong for us to criticize? Hold on. Oh, okay. There we go, guys. I'm back. See, this is the part of when you first start doing your first podcast, and I was looking for my timer, and my eyes was kind of like, hey, how long am I? Because I don't want to be too long-winded with the first few videos. I want to make sure more things are more succinct and precise, and try to keep it to maybe like a 30-minute time frame, because I know everyone doesn't have the long attention span. But just going back to what I was saying is, with the food review, it just seems like some people have this image that blacks are above scrutiny from other blacks when it comes to a black-owned business. And the first thing I noticed when I watched the podcast was they were talking about the bylaws that they had at this restaurant. So a couple of them, I don't remember all of them, but a couple of them that I do remember are they had a thing where if you have a party of, let's just say for argument's sake, a party of 4, if 2 of the people arrive to the table before the other 2, you are not allowed, you will not be served drinks, you will not be served water, you will not be served bread, nothing. You have to wait till your full party arrives before you get any attention or service. I thought that was off. They said there are no substitutions to the menu. So if you're a person that doesn't like onion or doesn't like mushroom, or you want that meal but you just want to take one element of the meal out, it's not allowed. Once you place your order, if later on after you finish your meal you wanted to maybe add on a dessert, well, you should have ordered that when you first made your order. No. And it was another one as far as after you're finished eating, they present you a check and you have like 15 minutes before you have to get up and leave. So the biggest problem I have with it is just the customer service aspect of it. And he said the food wasn't all that great, and he did say at the end of the video, he had a disclaimer when he said that this has just been my personal experience. Well, I encourage you guys to go out, try it for yourself. Maybe your experience will be different than mine. So, which I thought that was keeping things very P. To say, hey, I had a bad experience. Maybe somebody had a bad day. Maybe I rubbed somebody the wrong way. Maybe they knew who I was. But if they knew who he was and they knew he was a food critic, you'd think that they would be kind of more on their best behavior. But he said that the food wasn't all that good and the service was awful. And initially, Kandi Burruss got up and she was capping, basically, like, how dare you come in my restaurant, and this is what's wrong with black people. Black people don't support other black businesses. And I have a problem with that, to say that why should I support your business if the treatment or the service or the food that I'm getting is substandard? I'm not going to just continue to patronize somebody just off the color of your skin. Just being black doesn't absolve you from what responsibility or what duty you have to provide good service, good food, or if you're in the food industry. I mean, if this just take it another place, and if there are any females or even for males, if you go to get your hair done or your hair cut and it's done by a black beautician or a black barber and they mess your hair up, do I just walk out and say, oh, it's okay because that's wrong for me to say something bad about a black person? Man, I'm not on that. I'm not with that. We should hold each other accountable to, if you didn't want to deliver, or if you're not a person that's able to stand on business and deliver good customer service, you shouldn't be in the service industry. You took your bread. You jumped out here to try to do open a restaurant. You know what it takes. You got to be kind. You got to be polite to people. If you gave me excellent service and the food wasn't all that good, I might well even be able to overlook it. To give you a pass to say, but the service has got to be first. I don't need nobody rude coming to my table. Some people get off on a person's appearance. I don't personally subscribe to that. To be like, I don't want nobody coming to my hair or to my table with blue hair or nose ring. That ain't really necessary. If they have really good etiquette and they're polite and they do right by their customers, it's okay with me. So just anybody that's out there that's prospectively looking to open up some sort of business, any type of service that you're providing, just make sure that you keep the customer service as the front and your top priority. Of course, you want to do good business, but you want to treat people right too. Then another topic that I really wanted to touch is and it's kind of difficult for me to get to this subject because I don't want this to be perceived in the wrong way, but it's just kind of like the over-sexualizing of especially the black community, but it's all over. As far as the reason why I said I don't want it to be taken in the wrong way is because I see how in hip-hop women have kind of gotten a more dominant role. Salute to you, ladies. You are bringing good music and things to the culture. I salute you. But it just seems like the narrative that they're pushing is just so overly sexual. And I know women could easily come back and say, when men, you aren't any better. You guys have been saying this and saying bees and hoes and, all type of manner of stuff. And you're right. And we do need to hold all of us accountable. But it seems like the narrative is starting to get women sucked in to this too, because they might already feel like we already got the men. We got mass incarceration popping like crazy. We got all the kids in the single parent homes, and the men denying their kids over child support that they owe or whatever it may be, or just not standing on business. This is what men are doing because they've kind of conquered the black man. We've already got our foot on their throats. So now we're coming for the women. So now they're coming for the women in a sense of, they want to turn women into just sexual objects. There's nothing with a woman being sexually liberated. If a woman isn't married or in a committed situation with a man, she's free to do whatever she wants to do. You know what I mean? She wants to have, multiple sex partners. Congratulations. But just trying to push the whole narrative over into just like the mainstream where my granddaughters and my younger family members are kind of being influenced by it, I just have a problem with it. I have a problem with just some of the drill music and stuff that's overly violent. I don't not listen to everything because there's sex and violence in it, but it just, on some levels, it starts to seem like it becomes pandering, or it becomes intentional. Anybody knows me, especially from my history of DJing and everything, I'm with the smoke. I listen to all of it. I listen to Nardo Wick, Lil Durk, I listen to it, but I listen to it to a point, I listen to some of the tracks and things that they have that are a little bit more poignant, and it's not just gratuitous murder. Nah, that ain't that. And now I just don't want to hear women saying coochie, 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 coochie. You know what I mean? Like, come on, is there anything else that you got to talk about besides this? I mean, I remember the chick Saweetie had like a meal at McDonald's or Popeyes or somewhere, and I'm looking like, what is the correlation? What are we pushing a Saweetie meal for? Or Meg the Stallion spicy wings? You know, come on now. It don't take a genius to read between the lines to say that if you got Meg the Stallion meal and it's all spicy, you tell me, you know. But I digress, you know. I'm not going to get too far in it. I'm trying to get my sea legs up under me, y'all. Be ready, because once I really started getting my thoughts together, and I'm just trying to make sure that this is going to be streamlined, I can move and segue from topic to topic and just stir up the conversation. And, you know, I want to be a contributor to the culture and not a distraction. You know, I have no desire to do rumors and, you know, Charleston White and capping on folks and, you know, all that type stuff. And that ain't my energy. You know what I mean? I'm mainly a sports fan. This is what my platform is going to be built off of. But I do want to touch social issues. I do want to touch down on music issues and, you know, some of the other things that interest me. You know, I know we got Thanksgiving coming up soon, and I hope everybody enjoys the time with the family. You know, my wife is probably the most Thanksgivingest person that I know, and it ain't about being thankful for her friends and family. It's for that mac and cheese and those greens and tater salad and all that. And you know, while we're on the subject, anybody that want to jump into the comment section to say, you know, what is your favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner? I mean, personally, I'm heavy on the dressing. I'm a dressing man. I like the potato salad, and I like dark meat on the turkey. I'm not real big on the breast. You know, I will have some, but I would prefer the dark meat. You know, if anybody that want to comment in the comment section, let me know. I will be reading the comments, and, you know, I will try to respond to as many that I get. But like I said before, like, share, and subscribe to the station. Be a little patient with me. I'm new to this platform, but I want to make sure that I'm bringing content. Make sure that I'm going to touch the subjects that help uplift the black community. And peace, everybody. Grew up large.